Hi, everybody. My name is Ali Khan. I'm going to be a chief adjudicator at the upcoming Dostek School Debate Cup. So the purpose of this video is to go through some of the motions that we already released and also talk a little bit about hints that we posted on our website. So let's just start with the motion. We're going to start with a junior league. So as you can see, one picture represents one motion, right? So you can see that we have two pictures for our preliminary rounds and one picture that is below for the final round. Okay, so round one, this house would ban the production and consumption of meat. One thing to notice is this is a policy motion. What does it mean? It means that that would be great for team proposition is debates to define how exactly they're going to ban the production and consumption of meat, right? Other than that, just notice that this debate is not about everyone going, not about whether it is good for people to be vegan. It is about the practical outcome of banning both production and the consumption of meat, right? So in every single policy motion, and here as well, we would love you to think about whether it is legitimate for government to do that, and also whether it is beneficial or worse for people, right? And any other issues and questions that you may come up with, going to be fine as long as you explain that they are relevant and they are comparative in these debates. So obviously, if we do not specify the country, which means that it is relevant for almost all around the world, almost every single country should be relevant because everywhere in the world we produce and consume meat, right? Yeah, do your research about the effect that meat has on your body, your health. Do some research about the alternatives. If we ban the production consumption, what is going to be the alternative for people, for those companies, for the government, and etc. Right? And last but not least, sometimes people think that policy debates are debated from the perspective of government, which is not true. We consider these debates from the perspective as like objective observer. That's to say, what is better for our society, even though the policy is going to be implemented by government. All right, number two is hidden. Number three, this house believes that important decisions about children's health should be made by medical professionals and not by their parents. So this is not a policy motion. This house believes that motion, which means that we just need to think about whether it's better or worse for medical professionals to make those decisions. So status quo in the vast majority of countries is that parents do make those decisions, right? And we think that, so proposition teams thinks that it is better to be done by medical professionals. One thing to note here, usually we're talking about urgent situations, right? So for example, and just an example, you can talk about the variety of different cases, but sometimes you need to replace blood, and it is against some religions, for instance. So parents are against that because they believe that their kids are going to go to hell, right? So therefore, sometimes their morality contradicts the efficiency of that decisions, right? And children's health. And in other cases, vaccination, obviously. So a lot of parents also stand against vaccination. So anything that you believe has significant effect on children's health can be discussed here. And on side proposition, you guys need to approve why medical professionals should do that. On side opposition, why parents should do that. Even though this is not a policy motion, it is still relevant to talk about both morality of that phenomena and pragmatic outcomes, that's to say, consequences. Motion number 4 is going to be impromptu as well. We're going to have 1 hour to prepare, and then we move on to semifinals. So in Junior League, we do not have quarterfinals. We're going to have semis. So top 4 teams who make it to the finals or semifinals going to debate about this house would ban music with violent lyrics. Again, this is a policy motion, which means you need to think about how exactly we're going to ban that kind of music. What are the criteria as to how we're going to identify whether these violent lyrics are not? And yeah, I think there are a lot of examples, especially now, with that kind of lyrics that you can obviously Google, listen to, read about, and think about. But one thing to note is that appeal to violence in public places is already banned. So we're not talking about appeal to violence, where some people say, hey, you should kill people with certain race or ethnicity. This is kind of thing is already banned, right? We're talking about violent lyrics where violent is glorified, right? So this is a huge difference, and I hope teams would understand that. And then for the finals, very simple. It's gonna be impromptu, but you got a picture, so you can figure things out if you want to. Okay, moving on to our senior league. Motion number two is number one is kind of the warm up. Very easy. And what I loved about this motion is that it is about you, right? It is about students, it is about teachers, educational system. So it's going to be very exciting to learn what you guys think about that system. This house believes that, which means that you do not have to provide a model or mechanism. You just need to think about the world where this is happening and compare that with the world that you believe is the alternative or the counterfactual, right? So that's to say, first thing to note is, okay, we got the system that we support, for example, overinflate children's academic self-perception. What is the alternative? Right? And I want you to clearly explain what is the alternative. So if we do not overinflate, what do we do? And there are two possible alternatives that I see now, maybe even more. So alternative number one is that we're gonna give them objective feedback and objective grades and which includes negative feedback sometimes as well. Or we're gonna do that with negativity bias, which means that we're gonna focus on negative things and things that they need to get better at, right? Those alternatives are relevant because they directly contradict the mechanism that proposition supports, which is overinflation. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. Very simple, very easy, good start of the competition. Motion number two is from pictures. Number three, this house regrets South African Rainbow Nation narrative. So I think that is the only motion where you need to do a lot of research. And research starts with history of South Africa. It also starts with understanding the political processes in this country, especially after the reconciliation process in 1994. And I think the crucial aspect of the description of that narrative is that we talk about society where each religion, nationality, and most importantly, race may live in harmony, which means that we do not see any significant differences between races, right? And then look at the political situation and racial issues in South Africa now and since that year. And I'm pretty sure you're going to come up with a lot of arguments for both sides, right? So again, before you even start thinking about arguments, I would suggest you to do a lot of research about South African culture, politics, history, and racial conflicts. What is crucial here is that this house regrets. What does it mean? It means that on side proposition, we need to imagine the world without that narrative, right? We need to imagine the world where this narrative would not exist and then prove why this world is better than the world that we have right now, where that narrative actually were imposed by Desmond Tutu and other people, right? So again, this is direct comparison between two worlds where the world that proposition supports does not exist. So you need to use your imagination and think about how this world would look like, and then compare that world with the world that we have with that Rainbow Nation narrative. Hope it is clear. All right, so then we're gonna have round four, quarterfinal semis. All of these rounds, you can find the motion hints here. And then for the final, we do not have both motion and the hint, right? In terms of the pictures, I think that they're very, very obvious, right? You can clearly see like the screenshot from the video and on picture one with the baby. I think it's very clear what this motion can be about. And then another one with meditation, another one with a screenshot of the article, again, super self-explanatory, and the motion about K-pop. So for hints for both senior and junior, we do not expect you to predict motion exactly, which is very, very hard to do. However, the reason why we have those pictures is for you to prepare your materials, right? Again, we will not allow you to use electronic devices and you do not have an access to the internet. However, we're going to allow you to use anything that you have printed before, right? So that's why I use those hints to maybe just read about something, do the research, and then once you start prepping for the exact motion, you're going to start prepping specific arguments. So my advice is to do not waste time guessing the exact wording of the motion and prepping arguments, but rather focus on the arguments and the motions that you already have. And for the hints, just prepare some materials, read about these phenomena, and think about it. Okay? Yeah, good luck with your prep. Hope you enjoy the process and see you very soon.